And welcome back to this special edition of the Daily Report here on WEIC.US Internet Radio. Again, I'm Chris, joined here by Carl and Dave, and we're discussing the death of Osama Bin Laden. Last night Sunday night, he was killed by U.S. Navy SEALs in Pakistan. President Obama gave a speech on Sunday night around 11:30 Eastern Standard Time that basically, it just announced the official death and that all of those things. Carl and I were noting off the air during the break that President Obama, it's interesting that he claims so much responsibility. For example, he uses the word "I." He speaks in that tone a lot. He says, "Last August, after years of painstaking work by our intelligence community, I was briefed on a possible lead to Bin Laden. I met repeatedly with the National Security Team as we developed more information. And finally, last week, I determined that we had enough intelligence to take action, and I authorized an operation to get Osama Bin Laden and bring him to justice." So yeah, he's obviously taking a lot of personal responsibility for this. Do you think he's justified in that?
I think he is, and I think it makes sense he's doing it. I mean, this is a guy who was criticized when he was running for president originally that he wouldn't be able to make a good wartime president. So it's like, here he is. Hey, I made these decisions. I'm the commander in chief. I'm the one who laid down the law and said, let's do this. And this mission that I directed was successful.
The thing that strikes me as interesting about it is I can't think of a previous time that he has taken this much personal responsibility for anything in his presidency. It seems like a lot of times he uses "we" or "we worked with Congress" or
Right.
"I worked with Congress." It's a lot of collective things, and this sounded very much
He
took ownership of this.
In the past, though, he's always trying to be that president that is willing to negotiate and create bipartisanship. And this isn't the bipartisanship. This is his job. He is the commander in chief. He is the one responsible for the war on terror. So when it requires bipartisanship, he says "we." When it's his job, he says "I." That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. It's just
Different.
It stood out to me when I heard the speech originally because I've never heard that tone from him.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. I also find it, to me, it's the fact that he didn't do this on his own. This isn't his, if not for the efforts of President Bush to get this ball rolling and all of those things, and to actually go after Bin Laden and to put the people in place that would, bring him to justice or kill him or whatever to find Bin Laden, then Barack Obama wouldn't be giving this speech. So Barack, he kind of really does have to pay tribute and homage to those that came before him.
I wouldn't even worry so much about the people that came before him as military leadership or that sort of thing. But
Right.
He is the commander-in-chief, as Dave said, and when it comes down to it, that's who would speak for the military.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like Bush took his eyes off the prize when he decided to attack Iraq. Because, at that point, we didn't even talk about what was going on in Afghanistan. It seemed like Bush was so busy trying to get Hussein that's kind of the way I felt. I really honestly felt like he was never going to get captured. I don't want to say I'd given up hope, but I just really didn't think it was ever going to happen.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that President. It seemed as though the Bush administration put so much emphasis on Iraq and Saddam Hussein that Osama bin Laden kind of got not necessarily thrown to the wayside, but put on the back burner.
Yeah,
and that's another thing that President Obama said in his speech was he said. After taking office, I directed Leon Panetta, the director of the CIA, to make the killing or capture of bin Laden the top priority of our war against al-Qaeda, even as we continued our broader efforts to disrupt, dismantle, and defeat his network. So, he's saying that as he came into office, he made Osama bin Laden the number one priority of the U.S. and international war on terror, but especially in the U.S. Kind of made him the big fish.
As he should have been.
Right. So yeah, President Obama gave this speech, and it was a good speech. And he did, he thanked the intelligence community and the military people and all of those. And he gave props to the military that was required, and thanks to all the people that I suppose got us to this one.
That being said, I don't think this is a speech that people are going to remember for the speech. It's
No,
the
it's
events,
the
that they-
occasion, exactly.
Yeah.
No one remembers what Lyndon Johnson said after he was inaugurated as president on Air Force One. Everybody just remembers that he was inaugurated as president on Air Force One. Moving from President Obama into more reactions from around the country. I do know that here in Columbus, Ohio, there was a little bit of celebration. Carl, was it a big celebration? I know that you saw it more than I did. I
didn't see the actual celebration.
you didn't
I heard
see
about
it.
it
Right. Do you know
this morning.
how many people were
at the Ohio State University? There were about 1,000 students who gathered at Mirror Lake, which was
Just
more
a
of a
park.
pond
on
campus that usually is reserved for football game celebrations. People jump into there in advance of the Ohio State-Michigan game. But apparently last night there were chants of USA and American flags being waved and people jumping in celebration of Bin Laden's death.
Yes, and I just in the few moments I had last night, checking on Twitter and reading other news sources, saw that things like that were happening all over the country. Times Square, not Times Square, Ground Zero. There was quite a celebration there
Outside the White House.
At President Bush's home in Texas. There were some things going on, but basically little pockets all over the country of people celebrating this in the streets.
Yeah, the interesting thing was I was watching the news coverage last night, and they were showing the clips from the White House, and it looked like all college students. That's what it looked like was filling it out, and those are the people who are going to be out at midnight on Sunday night. But it's interesting when you think some of these people are 18, 19 years old. Go back 10 years, they were 9 years old.
Yeah.
They probably don't remember the USS Cole. They probably don't remember the embassy bombings.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in their perspective, though, they've been hearing about 9/11 the majority, at least half their lives.
Years,
Right, and it's really the America they've grown up in was, in a way, very much shaped by Osama Bin Laden.
Right.
And and I'm not saying that all of a sudden tomorrow morning the TSA is no longer going to be doing full body scans and those things, but and we'll get into this more later. The world is definitely going to be at least a marginally different place now that Al Qaeda is kind of a leaderless.
Yeah, I really feel like this is really giving Americans hope after a decade of tragedy.
Right. I think Brian Williams on NBC said it is the end of an era. It may not change everything, but it certainly has been this era where Bin Laden has been at the forefront as a symbol.
Right.
And that symbol is...
It's gone.
It's maybe not gone. It's gone from this world in a certain way, but it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, we cut the head of the serpent off, and I really feel like Americans are going to feel like we have regained our strength. Like we staged our comeback. We finally won the victory we've been seeking for a decade now.
Right.
It is a little embarrassing with the amount we spend on military spending and intelligence that this one guy can capture.
But at the same time, he may just be one guy. But at the same time, he has been living his life is just one guy, hiding out in huts and caves, and
well, it didn't sound like this was a hut he was hiding out.
Yeah,
in.
This was a pretty nice house,
right?
And
really, I think that was a problem. Everyone was looking for a guy in huts and caves when he was probably just moving around from different mansions around these
hiding
base
in
camps.
plain sight.
Exactly.
Well, I thought one of the interesting, or maybe we can get into this more a little bit. The place that he was hiding out was just a complete fortress.
Yeah.
But it was cut off from the outside world completely. There was no phone line, no internet.
Right.
Apparently, they burned their trash, which was one of the things that caused them to investigate this place because they didn't put their trash out for collection like most places.
So smart and dumb at the same time.
That is very interesting. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more reactions and more on this special edition of the Daily Report right after this.